Welcome to the Full Court Press first show. I am Sean McConnell. I've got with me Jay Adams today. Before I get to introducing you, Jay, I'm going to just talk about the show a little bit, tell what it's about since this is the first one, since we are live. This is the Casual Sports Radio Network exclusive show that discusses what's happening on the hardwood. Like I said, I am Sean McConnell. You might know me from the Casual Sports Show on Mondays or the Neutral Zone Show on Thursdays, with Jay usually driving that bus. We have a great show for you today. We'll be joined shortly by Jay Adams, but before I get into that, I want to tell you how this show is going to look from week to week. Typically, we're going to spend the majority of the show discussing what's going on with the hometown Phoenix Suns. We'll also spend a segment or two discussing topics around the NBA, trades, rumors, playoffs, funny stories, etc., trying to keep it fresh and new. All right, now that that's out of the way, it's my pleasure to introduce a great friend of mine, the man who drives the bus of crazy guys on the Neutral Zone, the master of bars, the maestro of the flow, the one and only Jay Adams. How you doing, man?
What's going on, man? I'm good, dog. One of the things there's two things that I gotta say. So people who are watching this in terms of via Facebook, I'm a dark brother. I'm dark. I have to do some better. I have to do a better job of getting some different light on me, ambient light or something like that.
Yeah, you got to get
And
one
the
of those
other
glow
is,
lights, man.
I got to figure that out. And then also we got to get it. We got to get some other music going on. We got maybe some Invisible Man instrumentals or something like that.
Hey, if you send those
For
files,
the
I'm
intro.
all for it.
Okay, you ain't said nothing but a word, so that's what's going on, man. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate being the maiden voyage. I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, it's an honor for me, man. I've definitely respected your game in the radio business when I was coming up with Earl and just getting to know different styles and different topics and how to present things. And you've definitely been one that I've appreciated. So I had to have you on for the introductory show, man. So tell the show a little bit about yourself. Maybe your favorite team, because I know what it is. So we'll
Yes,
see if we
sir.
can share much about that. But tell us about yourself, man.
Well, I am California resident, or California native, I guess I should say. Been out here in Arizona for about almost 20 years. It's been a while, but I'm lover of lover of sports, lover of music. You mentioned in terms of bars earlier. I rap. I do music, so that's one of my passions. The other is it's odd along the way. Um, Sports and not that passion of sports, but just kind of getting in and talking about sports. It just kind of happened via some things happened a couple of years ago. So, um, along that journey, met you, Casual E,
Mm-hmm.
Ed Smith, and all those things, and so that's what I do. So I have different opinions. I'm not that dude that has the hot take. I'm the guy that maybe sometimes talks about giving grace to athletes, and sometimes is a little bit more critical,
Mm-hmm.
and oftentimes talks about things that are a little bit to the left or to the right. So that's me, man.
That's awesome, man. And that's always one of those things I respected about you, man. Is just, you're a man of many trades, and you're a man of many opinions, but all your opinions have been sound. You don't fly off the handle just to fly off the handle,
No, sir.
unless it's about your Lakers doing dumb stuff.
Yes. So as you've been, yes. So I apologize for missing that. So I am a
Cat's out the
Lakers
bag.
fan. I'm not the Lakers fan that's the current Lakers fan because LeBron is on the team. I'm a Lakers fan, and I'm older than you, Sean. I'm the Norm Nixon Lakers fan.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm the Kurt Rambis Lakers fan. I'm that dude. So I've been around for quite a while, and I'm not. I'm a Lakers fan, and this will make sense when I say this. I'm also a Raiders fan, but
Right.
I'm not the irrational Lakers or Raiders fan. So that's me.
Yeah, and that's hard to find. I mean, you are a gem, like I've said. So it's definitely rare to find somebody that's kind of level headed that roots for both of those teams at the same time. So
Yes, sir.
kudos to you on that.
Thank you.
So while we're talking about what got you into basketball, what made you like basketball so much? Was it that you've played when you were younger? Was there you used to tear it up on the court, or what was it? Just the game that drawn to
Yeah,
you, or
I remember. I can really remember there's a movie. I mean, you might have to Google it because again, I'm a little bit older than you. But it was called "The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh."
Okay.
It's a movie that it starred. I want to say it starred Dr. J. So Julius Irving, and I remember being young. So I'm not that old, but young and watching that movie, and that was kind of my introduction to kind of loving basketball,
Hmm.
and so playing on the schoolyard court, I used to pretend that I was Dr. J. And once Magic Johnson came around, because I didn't have that athletic ability, but once Magic Johnson came around with the Lakers, my grandmother used to watch the Lakers on television, and she also used to listen to them on a transistor radio,
Mm.
and so Magic Johnson was just so electrifying, and I used to pretend to be a Magic Johnson on the court, and that's what I wanted to be. I delighted in the pass as opposed to the shot, and that's where my love of the Lakers came from because of his style of play. So that's where I kind of came from, and there was a time I haven't played a pickup game of basketball probably for about 3 or 4, probably about 3 years,
Hmm.
because there came a time, and I want to get out there and play again, but there came a time when I don't know if you've ever felt this. You have children, so there's something that you want to do in your mind, and you want to do it. And so
Yeah.
I would have the ball in my hand, and I want to make that move, and I do that jab step, and I know I'd want to do a jab step to the left, and and then drive right around my defender, but my body wouldn't cooperate,
I've
and
been
that's kind of
there.
where I'm at. So
I've
I'm
been
more
there.
of I appreciate the game of basketball now more than ever.
Yeah, and it's definitely it's crazy because basketball is one of those games that it's almost like a fine wine. You know, your game can kind of get better with age, even if you're not a pro, even if you didn't play in college. I've seen guys that have no business being on the court, but somehow
True.
will wax you with an elbow shot that they bank in every time, and just a little
Yes.
pick and pop every time. And it just ages like a fine wine, man. And that's something that's awesome. And I think it's definitely a credit though to those Showtime Lakers that have brought a lot of fans to the game because Magic was such a polarizing guy and that
Yeah.
style of play was so polarizing. That's why when the Suns did it with the Steve Nash era in the 7 seconds or less, it was just kind of like this revolution almost so that you can run and have a good time
Yeah.
doing it and put points up in a hurry. And that's kind of where my story came in. Was I was obviously a Suns fan since birth, but the struggle with the birth was that I was maybe like 2 or 3 when the Suns were in the finals against MJ. So I really didn't get to enjoy it as much as I should have. So the Steve Nash era was definitely my era where I was just in love with the team and died so hard when it didn't go the way that it was supposed to.
I want to appreciate you saying that you were 2 or 3 growing up Suns fan.
I got to speak the
Man, this
truth.
is this. I'm gonna take you out now. I'm gonna take you out near where you live, your dwelling, your casa, your abode, and get you very drunk. Just so I can. That hurts my feelings because I remember that vividly. I remember it vividly, and you're saying, yeah, that was on the periphery, but yeah. So I understand because
Yeah,
those Showtime Lakers. I mean, Showtime Lakers, and then with 7 seconds or less Suns, that was an exciting style of basketball. And
it
being out here
was.
in the valley when that was going on with the Suns, it, yes, I know that they're rivals, but my since I live in the valley, I always want the Suns to do well because it just makes for more compelling
Yeah,
basketball.
and the Suns have been such a storied franchise that have kind of helped keep the league. I wouldn't say relevant and I wouldn't say around because it's such a small market, but they've kept the league interesting. They've almost been kind of that small team underdog that a lot of guys can just kind of root for that are casual fans from around the nation because it's
Mm-hmm.
it's a small team in Phoenix and this it's like a small knit arena and everything kind of feels close knit and it's a really unique organization and that time was just a great time to be. But yeah,
They're
I mean
what
by the
what
time I
what do you
finally
call it?
got
A
into basketball,
heritage organization. That's what the Suns
yeah,
are.
absolutely, absolutely, they're a heritage team and they've had storied teams every couple decades, and this has been the longest drought that it's been, and it's definitely been hard for fans. It's been testing on a lot of fans, and it's tough. By the time I was finally able to grasp the concept of basketball, Space Jam had come out, and Charles Barkley was kind of old news at that point, and the Suns were kind of dying off at that point, and it's like, what are you gonna do? So I had to
Yes,
throw that last one in there on you.
Yeah, man. All right, can we go on to the next thing, man? Make me feel old, man.
Yeah, I want to get into one more thing with you while we're here before we go to a break.
Yes,
You
sir.
you were talking about spitting bars, and I love to give you this avenue because I love your music and I love the message. It's not just being able to have a flow; it's also being able to have a message that's important. And I feel like every song that you've made has a message that's important. And I know you've got a new album that's out that dropped on
Yeah.
KSRN, and I wanted to give you that opportunity, that window to talk about The Invisible Man.
Well, I appreciate it, man. And really, you, Earl, uh, it's I you've kind of reinvigorated me when it comes to music, and it's I mean it's not cheesy when I say it because I know you guys have listened to my music, and when I was thinking about just kind of putting it on the back burner, you guys have said whatever I can do to support you. That means a lot to me, and I mean that wholeheartedly. So I have a new project out. It's called Invisible Man. It's a 7-song EP. And
Mm-hmm.
so, difference between an EP and an LP is that an EP is a shorter length project.
Right.
So this is seven songs about a little under 20 minutes. If you search on all digital platforms, J Love J-LUV Invisible Man, you'll be able to see it. It's I'm a dude that loves lyrics. I love beats. I'm not talking about sipping lean. I'm not
Thank
killing
you.
folks. You see me. I got my office in my background. I think that might be um my wife's degree. Mine is on the other side.
There you go.
No, that's mine. That's mine right there.
Hey, framed
So
in
so anyway,
perfectly.
very perfectly. But the biggest thing is it's about lyrics. It's about creativity, that type of stuff. And so and because of that, I have 2 or 3 projects that are coming out this year. But Invisible Man, I'm really excited about it. I've people who I respect. I let for those who don't know, real quick, I let you listen to it before I let a lot of other folks listen to it.
Yeah, and I
And I
felt
said
special for that,
I
man.
hit you up and I said, hey, please let me know what you think, and a couple other people, and so the favorable response and some of the constructive criticism, I really appreciate that, and that's what it comes down to because no product is perfect except for Outcast Equipmeni, but no project is perfect. But check it out, J Love Equipmeni. I mean J Love Invisible Man. Let me know what you think. Um, got a couple other projects coming out this year, but really, I'm very pleased with the response. I'm a dude that's about lyrics, about presentation, about beats and rhymes, and so I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. I didn't even mean to throw that one in there. That was just on accident.
It's all
Absolutely.
good.
Hey, so this is the full court press. You're here with Sean McConnell and Jay Adams, aka Jay Love. We're gonna hit a
Yes, sir.
commercial break and we'll be back in a little bit.
Yes, sir.
MPX, a neighborhood joint located at 4717 East Bell Road, is not just another restaurant. It's a community partner and gathering point. At MPX, everything is made from scratch. The menu is a creative spin on traditional American classics. Every item on the menu has a story behind it. From Ashley's Biscuit Chili, raised short ribs, to the PB&J French toast, there's a new favorite waiting for you. In addition to being the ideal neighborhood joint, MPX is committed to uplifting the community, partnering with local schools, hosting benefits, and give back. If you're looking to schedule an event, MPX, a neighborhood joint, is the perfect location to come together. And while you're there, be sure to check out the 195-inch TV. For more information, call MPX at 602-788-7134. Visit www.mpx.life. Follow us on Twitter at MPXLife. Like us on Facebook or stop in. Again, we're located at 4717 East Bell Road in Phoenix. MPX, the official neighborhood joint of the Easy Sports Talk Show. Be sure to tell a friendly and courteous staff Ed and Jim sent you.
This is Jay from The Focus with Jay Adams. I want to tell you about my friends at Majestic Services. Are you a homeowner? When was the last time you had your awnings cleaned? What about the oil stains in your driveway? Majestic Services has you covered. They're your pressure washing and window cleaning experts. With over 11 years of experience, they'll provide you with a free, no-obligation quote for your awnings, patio blinds, sidewalks, garage floors, driveways, and house paths. You take care of your car by washing it, right? Well, the outside of your house gets dirty too. So whether concrete, brick, stone, asphalt, stucco, pool decks, and more, Majestic Services will remove dirt, oil, bird droppings, grease, and more. Give Matt a call at 602-881-8228. That's 602-881-8228. Commercial or residential, valley-wide. Let Majestic Services do your dirty work. 602-881-8228.
And we are back on the Full Court Press. Sean McConnell here on KSRN Casual Sports Radio Network. As promised, we're going to get into some Suns basketball. Man, it's been tough for these Suns, man.
It has.
It's been really tough. They played last night at Indiana. They lost 131-97, trailed the entire game.
Yes.
Did you get to check any of these highlights out, man? Did you see? Because I was watching the game at home, and it was over before it even started.
I was listening to the game on the way home. You know, I'm a runner, so I do some running. So when I started to run, they were already down in the second quarter. They by double digits, and so the biggest thing is, and let me know your thoughts on this. Is that when a team loses by less than 10, it's the coach's fault. This is what I've heard over the years.
Yeah, typically,
when a team loses by 10 or more, that's on the team. So with something like this seems, I mean, you can't control, there are things that are out of your control, but the effort you can control, some of those other things. Indiana is a good team,
right?
But 131-97. That's embarrassing.
It's more than lopsided.
Yeah, very much so. I've heard a lot of criticism about Igor Kokoshkov. You hired him knowing his demeanor and knowing that he's not the guy that's going to be. He's more of a Phil Jackson. When I say Phil Jackson, just quiet and not going to say much, as opposed to demonstrative like Popovich,
right?
Or insert any other very vocal coach. And I've heard, especially obviously locally, I've heard a lot of vitriol aimed towards Igor. That's who he is. And so when you say a coach is shaped in the image of their coach, that's what he's trying to shape them as, kind of a hard-nosed, quiet, go about your business. I think this is more of a reflection of the lack of talent on the roster as opposed to an indictment of Igor Kokoshkov.
Or even the youth, because I'm going to throw this one to you. This kind of came in my head. Yeah. This almost screams to me as the Golden State situation when they had Mark Jackson. Mark Jackson inherited these children, turned them into a little bit of something, and then was let go the second that they had a chance to get somebody brighter and shinier. Do you think this kind of rings similar? I mean, is Kokoshkov kind of just this coach that's hanging in the balance of waiting for these guys to really develop enough to bring in that coach that's really going to take it to the next level?
Yes and no, and here's why I say yes, because there is a development process, and it's if you cut across sports, you'll see the same thing. So whether it's especially in football, where the coach that comes in and he's the rebuilding process, he's not going to see that fruit come to bear.
Mm.
But when you're in the NBA, it could be because he could really lay all the groundwork, defensive defensive mindset, trying to have a certain mentality when it comes to playing the game, and just when he feels as if he's trying to really get it to take root is when he's shown the door.
Right.
With Mark Jackson, I think what was different is that there was success. They were in the playoffs, so they had playoff success,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't. I think it was a couple of years of playoff success. The second year, they said we're going to go a different direction, and so then it was all of the hesitancy coming from star players like Curry, but I just hate to see the instant gratification that is taking root in there. I mean, you probably listen to the same media members that I listen to locally. That because of what happened with the Cardinals, the Arizona Cardinals on the
Right.
football side, they want instant gratification, or because of what has not happened on the basketball side with the Phoenix Suns. There's that if you come in this year, this is the year because so and so said that we're not going to the we're not going to be in the lottery anymore. That
Right.
there has to be some marked improvement. But the roster, I just don't think the roster is good enough. But it's better than 131 to 97. But I don't think that the roster is good enough, and that is what I think some people are losing sight of.
So let's segue to that then, because I was going to go into the whole Devin Booker coming back from injury, wearing the headband, and only scoring 8 points, because that's usually a whole topic of how a player puts a headband on and then they're different, good or bad. But I want to talk about the roster right now for a little bit. Let's talk about Kelly Oubre Jr. Now, Bright Side of the Sun put out a tweet that Kelly Oubre Jr. is averaging 20.5 points, 5.5 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 2 steals, and 1 block in only 29.2 minutes over his past 4 games. Is it time to make Oubre Jr. a starter?
Who will Oubre replace?
And see, that's the question, because you either put Warren down, who tends to usually be a very consistent scorer for the team.
Man, let me say this. I feel like those memes. Again, for those who don't know, Sean McConnell, I'm an African American. Sean McConnell, big heart. I'm going to just leave it there because I was going to go somewhere else. You know where I was going to go because you talked to my wife a little bit earlier before we went live. But I'm going to just say, so Sean, let me tell you it's what's interesting about TJ Warren is that last year I remember mentioning this to my oldest son that Warren I would love to have him on the Lakers,
Mm-hmm.
and the reason being is because he's a scorer.
Right,
he's a scorer.
Scoring Warren.
He's expanded his game, so 3-point shooter. He had to do that. That was the mandate he was given, and so he's definitely he's done what he was supposed to do. But you got to keep Warren in the starting lineup. But what's interesting to me is this. So when you look at the core, and I just kind of jotted this down. So obviously, it's your show. I'm just a guest in your house.
Stat master.
The core is Warren, Booker, Ayton, Jackson, Oubre.
Right.
Oubre Jr. So I hate it when people just leave off the junior when somebody has junior in their name.
Of course.
But so for that reason, but that doesn't mean that. Think about I know you know basketball, so think about over the last, let's say, 20 years. I know the game has changed, but think of the last 20 years when you've had Ginobili. He was a classic 6-man. He could have been a starter on any team.
Right.
But if you have somebody like an Oubre Jr. or a Ginobili that is coming off the bench, that makes your bench even that much more stronger.
Absolutely.
So that's where I kind of have a little bit of pushback when it comes to bringing him off the bench, because I understand the reasoning for it is to let's win some more games. Let's bring him in. If he's the best sitting on the bench, let's bring him in.
Right.
But if you're trying to build a team, then put people in their roles. Let them execute their roles to the best of their ability, and then you want to try to. So if we have a shooting guard, two guard, and Warren would be a two guard, right?
You
Or
could
would you
put him
say
at two
small
guard. He'll be
forward?
a little big, but I'd rather have him at the small forward. Probably put Oubre Jr. at the two. I think that would give you a little bit more versatility, especially on defense with those 2 steals per
Okay.
game per 4 games. So I'd rather have him at the 2. Kind of just branches things out. But then you
So
leave
let's say-
Booker at the
so let's say-
1. So
Let's say with you. So if you said Oubre Jr. coming off the bench would be two guard,
mhm.
so Jackson coming off the bench would be small forward, right?
Could be.
Okay, so let's say that. So let's say we got that bench lined up. So Warren on the small forward, Booker two guard, Ayton on the center. So now we just got that. It's about filling holes. So what does that mean? So it comes down to you have Melton that's playing point guard, that's doing a serviceable job. So he's probably more of a backup point guard.
Right.
But you have to keep in mind that if they're not going to trade for a point guard, then let these guys develop. Like you're going to take your lumps, but what you're finding out, if I'm management, what you're finding out is that not everybody's bringing the same intensity or effort to every game. So I don't want those
Right.
people on the team. So if I have to get you off the team, then that's what has to happen. And so you have to look at that and evaluate that as you go along.
So for me, Oubre Jr. is ironically reminding me most of Jamal Crawford, who's ironically on this team, not playing as the usual Jamal Crawford that you've seen with like the Clippers, for example. But
Right.
I kind of like him in the 6 spot, and we talked about trading for a point guard. That's actually where we're going to go next in this next segment. But after this, we're going to take a break. This is the Full Court Press. We'll be right back.
You can.
Whether a growing family or an upcoming retirement, Debbie Bishop of Homeowners Financial Group USA LLC is there to help. As a generational lender, Debbie assists everyone from first-time homebuyers to seniors looking into reverse mortgages. With products like FHA, VA, conventional, and jumbo financing, Debbie will work with you to find the loan to best fit your needs. Call 480-305-8505 for a consultation or apply online at homeownersfg.com/Debbie Bishop. NMLS number 234947, BK0906222, NMLS number 93718, Equal Housing Lender.
Hey entrepreneurs, community leaders, and influencers, your brand is losing 11% of its bottom line because your brand's experience is all over the place. Between a website, email list, and multiple social media channels, how can you expect your audience to get the message? For just $30 a month, unify your messaging and audiences into its core with a core link community. No longer will your audiences have to guess which web page, buried social media post, or old email has the information they're looking for. It can all be found in your core link community. Your customers, donors, or followers will thank you. Your community also comes with e-commerce, so you can now sell within the same place you interact. You're literally giving your audience the best tool to support you. Whether your organization has an online presence or needs its very first, your brand could benefit from total unification. To get yours, visit corelink.com. That's CORLINC. No E and ends with a C. CORLINC. As an Easy Sports Talk listener, get an additional month free by visiting corelink.com/head.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. Sean McConnell here on KSRN. Got my man Javon Adams, aka J Love.
Yo, Sean.
Yes.
You think that one day, as our pictures are on Facebook Live right now, that we'll maybe be on ESPN or something like that, breaking some dope news, and it would be cool. And you see my big gap, like a straight hand, and they'll say that dude's dark and he's wearing red or he's wearing black. Anyway,
I don't know, man. The
That's
suit.
gold,
I
man.
mean,
That's gold.
my hands are sweating already now. I can't imagine myself all tucked up in a suit. I can't. I mean, maybe one day.
You driving right now, so it's different driving. So now you have a greater appreciation
Oh,
of what I do as I drive.
I can't believe the way you've been able to drive.
Son, just peek your head in, son. Say hello. That's my son, Elijah. That's his head. So go ahead.
What's up?
Get on out of here, son. Get on out of here. So back to you, sir.
All right, so we're talking about some trades, and there's been some rumors and speculation around, and obviously this stuff's going to happen when everyone's trying to get the next best point guard for the Suns because they want them to be competitive. And there's one name that's popped out that has already been shut down, but I wanted to talk about it because it's an interesting name, and it's kind of caught my interest more so than I expected it would, and that is Dennis Smith Jr. out of Dallas. Now, this has been shot down because they don't think that he's going to fit the system. He's more of a scoring first point guard, which is, I agree, not the best solution for this type of lineup when Booker's kind of your main guy. Okay. But it is interesting because he is so athletic and he is so talented that it's hard to just pass up on that guy and immediately say, no, you're not interested. What are your thoughts on DSJ?
You don't need him. It defeats the purpose.
Okay.
It's like having... It would be like having Kobe Bryant on the Philadelphia 76ers with Allen Iverson on there. There's the ball. It just doesn't work. It's an extreme example, but here's the thing. He's not what you need with the Suns with the point guard, with any point guard that they have. So you need defense because again, your show. Let me know what you think. Is that when you have Booker. He's not the best defender. It's not saying he's a terrible defender, but he's not the best defender. So you have Warren. He's not the best defender either. You have Aiden, has potential. So you want to have some position, a position that has the ability to play a little bit of defense.
Right.
So you would love to have a defensive minded. Pass-oriented point guard, and so that's the reason why I think DSJ must be interesting to have your name acronym, but to have DSJ, you wouldn't want to have him on your team because he's been conditioned to get his shots,
right?
In addition to getting people involved. So if you bring him on your team, then you already know what you're getting, and so if you bring him on, then you shouldn't be surprised if there's a disruption in the chemistry of the team.
Right, and especially when he's had to take a back seat now to rookie sensation Luka Doncic. I mean, it kind of can throw off your whole game and make you be that locker room guy that you don't want to have all of a sudden. There's been some other trades that have been talked about just for him since we're going to go a little bit more national now. Orlando was probably the most interesting one that they proposed. Aaron Gordon for DSJ and Wesley Matthews. Now, that would be a very interesting thing because Orlando gives up their most exciting player to bring in another exciting player. And it's kind of like, what are you going to do with that? But for Dallas, I mean, it's a great deal.
I like Matthews. I've always liked Matthews, but the thing is with Gordon, so if you have Luka Doncic, or what do they call him? Luka. But if you have Luka, then if you have Gordon, he's not ball dominant. So you're able to incorporate and do some different things. So they're trying to transition that team. So I wouldn't thumbs down that particular trade. That might work out okay. And if somehow they want to get that player over to the Lakers, I'll take that. I'll take Matthews. I wouldn't take DSJ.
Yeah, I get you on that one. They've also had him go into possibly the Knicks, Bulls, and Grizzlies. Those ones seem a little bit harder to pull off, but
Nah.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to move him, actually.
Yeah, I want to get your thoughts on this before we go to a strictly national view and really zoom out.
Yeah, yeah.
I This is something that I've thought for a while, and so then there have been some national folks that have started to really chime on this. If Devin Booker was, let's say, in Chicago or Sacramento, would you say that he was a stat monster?
It could be. I mean, he could be. Especially with having to drive to the lane all the time. I mean, it just kind of feels like, especially the point guards the players that dribble the air out of the ball can definitely appear, whether or not intentional or not, appear like stat stuffers. The guys that just want to all about their stat line, and that can be a really hard thing to shake.
Yeah.
From the perceptions of GMs and fans around the league.
I think when you've been losing for so long, the question arises as to the numbers that you put up. How do you go about that? Because we know we had a couple years ago with a 70-point game, et cetera, et cetera. But it begs the question as to how elite is he? Is he that? Remember when Abdur
yeah.
you know what I'm talking about? He used to play. He played, I think, Sacramento for a while.
Yeah.
Then he played in Atlanta. I forget his name, but he was that. He was one of those guys where he had never made the playoffs, but his numbers were always good enough to where he was in that mid tier. And I'm just wondering if that might be what Booker ends up being, because sometimes you have a player that, because they're the best player on your team and you have no other options, that they end up getting that max contract or near the max level. I'm just wondering if that ends up being Booker.
It's very possible. The name Shareef Abdur Raheem.
Thank you.
There we go. I had to look it up. I wanted to make sure I said it right.
Yes,
Booker
sir.
could definitely be that guy. It is weird because it was so early to get that big extension. It feels a little rushed. I mean, but at the same time, he is your best option. He is what you have. And I'm not saying the 70-point game was a fluke. It was obviously one of those games where they just kept him in just to keep the points going, because he was literally the only one who could hit the broad side of the bucket. And it turned out to be something for him. I like his shooting form. I like his style of play. I think he has what it takes. He's been endorsed by those players that you can say, okay, they really think he can do something. That you could put some stock into that, but he has to keep taking steps. And what we've seen this year, that's the hard part, is that he can't be on the floor consistently health-wise. There's a couple things here and there, and I can't tell you how many times the guy that they want to compare him to is like a Kobe Bryant type that's just going to be able to take over games. But Kobe would play with broken toes and shoot free throws no matter what limb was falling off, and broken fingers as well. It was all messed up, but he would still fight through it. And that's something that he's going to have to develop, or at least develop the ability to keep his body in check on the off season, so that he doesn't have to have this adjustment period when the season starts again.
True indeed. I agree.
So let's move a little bit nationally now. I had a funny story I found on Bleacher Report. The 76ers Chick-fil-A hazing. Have you heard about this?
I have not. So go ahead.
I'll read you a little clip out of this story here. It says, for a few years now, Sixers rookies have been tasked with supplying their teammates with fresh, crispy chicken sandwiches before team flights. According to Jason Richardson, who spent 3 seasons with the Sixers before retiring in 2015, Thaddeus Young and Evan Turner started the tradition in the fall of 2012. The team has gone through 5 general managers and nearly 100 players since, and yet somehow pre-flight Chick-fil-A endures. This needs to be a tradition for the neutral zone if I ever had one. We need an intern right now that can just do that for us and make sure that Chick-fil-A is on deck when we're about to go live.
Shout out to Chick-fil-A. If you want to come aboard to what's going on here at KSRN Arizona, we would welcome you, because I like Chick-fil-A.
Absolutely. Chicken for everybody. So I thought that was hilarious, just seeing the 76ers. It's good for a team that's been in the dumpsters for so long to finally have a successful season and have fun. But that's been going on since they were losing. So good for them for staying positive and swallowing the depression with the chicken as it comes by.
Yes,
So-
sir. Yes, sir.
We're going to move on. Next one I got for you, James Harden. Now, I saw a tweet here. He has the most consecutive games with 30-plus points since the merger.
Yeah.
17 in a row. And who had 16? Kobe Bean Bryant.
Kobe.
So this poses the question, and this is one of those hot fire takes for you. Is Harden capable of reaching that tier of greatest guards of all time, being 1 MJ, 2 Kobe, 3 Harden? Is that possible?
I don't think so.
Because he's one-dimensional, right?
Okay, I'll say if he does it for maybe three more years, it's possible. I'm not the dude that says that you can never surpass MJ
Right.
or you can never surpass Kobe, and I'm not the dude that says that Kobe is number 2 or number 1. Chill on that. but what's interesting, James Harden is that dude. Every time you see him play, he's the guy that runs into you, then acts as if he's hit, hurt, and then he gets the benefit of the doubt from the referee. That's something that has annoyed me for the longest time. But he's also the guy that you're guarding, and you're saying, "I know what this dude's gonna do," and he's going between his legs, and then he goes to his left and just drains it right over top.
And does a little shimmy on the way back.
Yeah, and that's hard. But I think because you have to calculate in or factor in the fact that the game is different now than it was 5 years ago.
Of course.
Because there's so many more threes. What was it the other day that he had? He was 1 for 17 or 3 for 17 when it came to threes. So
yeah,
that wouldn't have happened 6 years ago because it was a different game. So you have to weight it a little bit differently. But Harden he's special because think about when Jordan was playing, that he would go to the lane and somebody would tap him on the shoulder and they would call a foul. And he got to the point where he was expecting those types of calls. So it's the same thing with Harden. I don't understand why they let him have that type of wide breath when it came to foul calls. But yeah, Harden he has to be top 5 at least in point guards. In shooting guards, he has to be.
Okay,
No
so
doubt.
look at this stat line for you. When the last time they played Memphis, James Harden, 57 points, 6 threes, 17 free throws. Memphis, the whole starting 5 for Memphis, 53 points, 7 threes, 8 free throws. He outscored the whole starting 5. And Memphis isn't supposed to be this slouch of a team. I mean, I know they're struggling right now, but like that?
A lot of that is anticipation. So you're the referee. Harden, you've gotten the mandate so that Harden is that player. And if you're watching me on Facebook Live, you'll see that I have the quotations. He's that player. So as he starts to drive to the basket, you're anticipating contact. So you call contact. He hears the whistle. He puts the ball up, and he happens to make it. That's an and one. Or he's out there and he does that. I know you've seen this, Sean. So he does that thing where he's out on the 3-point line or close to the 3-point line, and he dribbles, and your hand sticks out, and he raises it, and he lifts his arm up, kind of in a shooting motion, so that your arm that's sticking straight out hits his hand, and that ends up being an and one. So that's how you manufacture, and that's all kudos to Harden because that you have to understand where you and I have been you're in the corporate world, I've been in the corporate world. Where are your opportunities?
Yeah.
So that's an opportunity to take advantage of the opposition.
He's definitely a master of the body positioning for sure.
Yes,
when we
sir.
come back, we're going to be talking about the Suns schedule coming up and maybe what's next in the next week's show. We'll be right back with the Full Court Press.
You can.
Jay with the focus. So recently I took my wife out to dinner. She wanted to be surprised, so I was left to make the choice. I settled on Italian, but I didn't want the same old, same old. Long story short, I made the right choice, and my wife was more than pleased. Let me tell you about my friends at Publico Italian Eatery. If you're looking for the store-bought pasta, then this place is not for you. This family-owned and operated restaurant is located on 7th Street, just south of Bethany Home Road. All pastas are made in-house, and the pizzas are wood-fired. I recommend the seafood risotto, but you can't go wrong with any of the expertly prepared entrees, salads, or desserts. Give the creme brulee a try. You won't be disappointed. Publico Italian Eatery is open daily for lunch and dinner with a daily happy hour that includes $4 off glasses of wine, appetizers, and pizzas. You now have a new destination. Publico Italian Eatery, 7th Street in Bethany Home, 602-601-5651. That's 602-601-5651. Visit, eat, drink, repeat.
Hi, this is Ed Smith, host of the Easy Sports Talk Show. In addition to hosting the show every Saturday, did you know I'm also an inspirational and motivational speaker? Utilizing life experience in my 15-year professional sports career, I offer programs to a wide variety of audiences. Tips from the locker room to the boardroom and beyond. Whether you're a corporate executive, sports organization, or faith-based organization, Ed Smith Speaks can customize a team-building, motivational, and inspirational program to fill your needs. I'd love to come inspire and motivate your group to create lifelong shining moments. To learn more about booking me for your event, visit edsmithspeaks.com or contact me directly at info@edsmithspeaks.com.
When you think music, think Milano Music. A family-owned and operated establishment since 1946, Milano Music's mission has always been about sharing our enthusiasm of music with others. Located in historic downtown Mesa, Milano Music's 25,000 square foot showroom includes a huge wall of guitars, digital pianos, keyboards, PAs, percussion, and so much more. Whether you plan to buy or rent, Milano Music also has the best selection of band and orchestra instruments in the valley. The showroom and repair facility are open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., and Saturday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. For more information, check out MilanoMusic.com. That's MilanoMusic.com.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. We are in the fourth quarter of the show. Jay, I want to thank you again for coming out, man. It's been fun. A lot of fun, man. Definitely going to have you on again soon.
I'm going to crash the party. Yeah, like I do at Casual Ease House. I was over there earlier today.
Oh, you got through the red velvet tape?
Yeah, man. Sometimes you gotta just know who you gotta grease the wheels.
Oh,
so I
man.
remember I showed up to Casual Ease House 2 or 3 weeks ago when I had I'm an IPA drinker. So I showed up with a can of IPA. He was what's up, Jay? Come on in. Question mark. So yeah, I'm a crash the party.
Anytime, man. You are always welcome. You're always welcome. Looking ahead at the Suns' schedule, they got to finish off this 4-game road trip. Thursday at the Raptors, Saturday at the Hornets, Sunday at the Timberwolves.
Win.
Ooh, okay. That'll be a good one then. I'll take that as a good win.
Yeah.
Oh man, let's see. Maybe next week we'll have the Casual Eon himself if he's got the media availability. We'll see. But
yeah, you got to know the right people to get through. You know people.
I know people
on that same pedestal.
Oh man, I had no idea I was there. They didn't give me a badge or nothing. I had no clue.
That's how it go, man. Sometimes you just got to know.
So we got a couple minutes left in this. Is there anything that you want to talk about nationally, Suns wise, that we didn't get to cover yet?
Seriously, one of the things with the Suns that is, if you hide grace. You heard me say this on the neutral zone, so this is nothing new when you've heard me mention this before. Grace. And what I mean by grace is this. If you hire somebody that is we've all been new at jobs before, right, Sean?
Mm-hmm.
So when you go in your first month, your first 2 months, your first year, you go through and you get what is it called? You get a review,
Right.
and they say, here's what you do. Here, an old director that I used to have used to say, used to give you a compliment sandwich. So compliment what you can work on, what you suck at, and then what you can work on.
Right.
I mean, what you were good at. I'm sorry. So compliment, improvement, and then compliment. Hey, Sean, you're really great. Oh, hey, Jay, you're really great at being on time. And you know what? You could do a better job of being prepared for your show.
Yeah.
All right, but people seem to really like you. So it's compliment, improvement, and then compliment. So instead of wanting Igor to be Phil Jackson or Greg Popovich or insert whatever famous coach, those coaches did not get to that point by through osmosis. It came through hard work. It came over time.
Right.
And I understand that the Phoenix market wants instant gratification. Not even instant gratification. They want gratification after 8-9 years of futility. So I understand that. But you have to, when you press the reset button, you have to give that coach some time. And if you find out after year 2, okay, I understand. But after year 1, I think you have to have a little bit more patience, the same way that you would expect your employer to have patience with you as you grow into your role.
Absolutely. I can definitely see that. And as these players grow, I mean, you can't expect rookies just to come in and dominate. I feel like DeAndre Ayton still has to learn that competitive fire, that want to go after you after every possession type. He definitely doesn't have that. He may not have that. And if he doesn't have that, that might also hinder a coach's ability to get wins on the board.
He doesn't have it, dog. And this might be that is just him. He doesn't have that.
Yeah.
I once had somebody, again, go into my experience in the corporate world, say, well, you know what? Javon, you're just not, there's somebody else that has a little bit more. You just don't seem as if you enjoy your job. I say, why do you say that? Because I don't come in and I'm throwing my hands up in the air and being like Busta Rhymes and telling you to put your hands where my eyes can see. But that doesn't mean that I don't enjoy my job. But I'll never forget this. One of my managers in a former life, he said to me, he gave me a review, and he said, this is what you do great, this is what you don't do do this, you don't do this, you don't do this, you don't do this. And if you're watching me, you'll see like 5 things. And I said, hold up, this one might be right, but I do this, I do this, I do this, and I do this. He says, well, how would I know? Because you don't tell me. And I had to realize that I had to be a little bit more. I had to be more of a promoter in that sense. So I had to step out of my comfort zone in order to make sure that I was being noticed for the things that I did. So with Ayton, he has to, if he has the ability. Well, I'm looking at the show, the rundown for Ayton. He had 14 rebounds and 14 points and 8 rebounds in a blowout loss.
Yeah.
He can do that getting out of the bed. But seriously, he can do that because he has that level of talent. But the next level is really taking it personal. And that doesn't mean you have to be some jerk. It just means you have to take it personal in terms of what you realize your ceiling is. Not what your floor is, but what your ceiling is, right, and how you can get there. So that might mean in a loss like that, it might have been 2014. And that it's that additional effort that goes a long way to making it noticed, so that people aren't questioning whether or not you should have been the number 1 pick.
Yep, and there's going to be more questions coming for him next year too, because that sophomore slump is definitely real in the NBA. It definitely attacks a lot of players, and I see like he's going to be one of those ones that's going to have to deal with that, and it's going to be unfortunate for him. He's going to have a lot of question marks, and he's been following in Luka Doncic's shadow now ever since the draft happened, and unfortunately, I just don't think he's that type of player that's just going to take over games, which was why he was such a great pick for the Suns, because he's certainly your number 2.
Yeah.
Unless you want to throw Warren in there, then he's your number 3. But you've already got a core now where everyone's doing their role, and his role is just to stay by the basket, put in easy pickups, and get some rebounds.
I know we got to get out of here, but I got to ask you because you went to the summer league and all that stuff. Do you wish that they would have drafted Luka Doncic instead of Ayton?
I was always adamant against it. I just felt like he was going to take over too much. And if you look at it right now, if he would have been on the Suns, you might be asking, should we trade Booker for assets? Just because Luka is such a unicorn playing like 4 different positions.
Yeah.
He overshadows everybody, and that's just not what you want on a team, unfortunately. I mean, he's a great player, and he's got a lot of skill, and he's very exciting to watch, but he might overtake someone's team, and you've got Dennis Smith Jr. now sitting on the sidelines going, what happened?
Exactly, because just a year ago, it was like the Bobby Schmurder. It was all good, just a week ago. So,
Yeah.
That's how we do it.
So this has been a lot of fun, man. The first episode of the Full Court Press. We'll try to do this every week, if not once a month. We'll see how it goes. But
Yes, sir.
we'll do a shout out to a couple of our sponsors: Majestic Services, Publico Italian Eatery, Maduro's Fine Cigars and Tobacco, Milano's Music, Piccoli's Natural Pet Food and Supplies, MPX, a neighborhood joint, Casualsports.com, obviously. For Jay, I am Sean, and we are out of here. See you next time.
You could.